Hi, this is Jim Rosemary with New Tech Web. In this session, we're going to be talking about how do you promote your business? That is, how do you market your business? So a lot of marketing information in this one, and actually, it's not just about services. It's also about products too. So let's get started. First question is, what business are you in? And I don't mean whether you're a plumber or a massage therapist or a doctor. I mean, what business are you really in? Are you in the product business or the service business? Well, actually, you're in the business of running a business. And even more specifically, you're in the business of becoming the best marketer you can be. Unless you're a great marketer, your business actually stands little chance for success. So the whole point is to become the best marketer you can. If you don't toot your own horn, nobody else will. So you have to get your head straight about marketing in general. When I ask you about what do you think about marketers, do you think manipulative, coercive, persuasive, or something worse? Well, if you think that way and your attitude about salespeople is about the same, and you are a salesperson or you are a marketer, again, your odds for success are pretty low because that's not a good thing to be. So if you think about it this way, nothing happens, pretty much nothing in this world, nothing happens unless something is sold, something is marketed. So thinking about the best salespeople you've ever heard of or ever known, they don't actually sell things. They help people find the solutions to their problems or the answers to their objections or whatever it might be. They're in the people helping business. If you take that approach when it comes to your marketing and your sales, now you'll never have a negative attitude about it, and you'll be much more comfortable yourself in sales and marketing situations. Really, making money is important because unless you make money, you can't share your gifts with the world. I asked this question of the massage therapists, the American Association of Massage Therapists, many years ago when I gave a presentation. I asked them to raise their hands if they thought what they did brought value to the world. Interestingly, only about half of the hands went up. Why were they in business if they weren't thinking what they did brought value to the world? And then I asked them, how many of you like making money from what you do? Very few hands went up. And this was the point again that I made with that group. Unless you're making money, unless you're profitable, you cannot share your gifts with the rest of the world. You have to be able to make money. So that's a key ingredient in getting your head straight. Marketing is not taking advantage of people when both people say thank you when the transaction's complete. So it's not about manipulation or coercion or persuasion even. It's really about helping. Zig Ziglar, one of my favorite all-time marketing gurus, put it this way. He said, if you just help enough other people in life get what they want, you will have everything in life you want. Well, in changing from just a service or a product specialist to a marketer, there's several things to think about. The E-Myth, one of my favorite books of all time, I would require it of you if I could. Read the E-Myth. And the E in this case stands for the entrepreneurial myth. He said that most small business owners aren't actually business owners. They're, as he put it, hobbyists or technicians who get caught up in an entrepreneurial seizure. So they're the cookie baker or the transmission rebuilder that all their friends said, you should go into business. You're really good at that. Well, baking cookies or rebuilding transmissions is a good skill to have, but it's a different skill set than running a business or being a marketer. So you start with some kind of potential business. Again, whatever your skill set is, whatever your interests are, wherever your value is. And you'll find that you start to fail. That's almost a necessary component of most businesses. You run into issues or problems or things you just can't solve. But when it comes to marketing, if you start driving more business into your business, driving more customers into your business, you'll find that things turn around. More customers solves a lot of problems for a lot of small businesses. You start to learn as the business grows, or not, but hopefully you learn, and you learn from your mistakes. I would also suggest that you learn from other people's mistakes. As you start to become successful, you'll realize that all of your marketing isn't successful. There are things that you can do and do better and more efficiently and more effectively. So it's a matter of practice. So now how do you feel about marketing and sales? It's an absolutely essential skill. Look, I'm a marketing guy, so maybe I'm biased, but every client that I've ever worked with over the past 30, 40 years has to be good at marketing or they don't survive. So you have to be good at marketing, and where that comes from is a genuine interest in helping people. So what is marketing? We've been using that term over and over again. Well, my favorite definition of it is telling the truth attractively. Telling the truth attractively means you're honest in your communications, but you do it in a way that appeals to your target audience. Marketing is also any point of contact that anybody in your company has with anyone who could possibly be a client or even refer you to a client. So marketing is not just a transaction. It's not just a single thing. It's casting a net and then reeling them in. The casting a net part is the marketing. The reeling them in is the sales part. Now, most people think of advertising when they think of marketing, or websites when they think of marketing. It's not just one thing. It's so many things. It's everything in your business. It is literally everything you do. How you shake hands, how you present yourself, what your logo looks like, the language that you use in your website or your presentations. Everything you do, how you present your business and yourself, will ultimately determine your level of success. So marketing, from my view, is everything when it comes to your business. And again, it's not just an event. It's not something you do and set and forget. It's a process, and it continues forever in your business. So it's something that you always have to get better at. Be a student of marketing. Well, when it comes to marketing, I've got some tips for you here. Marketing 101, this is the process of marketing. It all starts with exposure. You have to expose your brand, your product, your service to your target audience. So exposing them to it, but you can't do it just once. There are studies that show, depending on the product, you may have to expose your product or service to an audience 6 times, 10 times or more before they lead to awareness. So once they become aware of you, now they're in their head, you can start to make inroads into recognition. They hear about you at a Chamber of Commerce event. They see your website. They see your truck go by with a sign on the side. They see your sign on your work site. And they say, yeah, I've heard of those guys. I know about them. So that recognition eventually leads to familiarity. They know about you, not just know who you are. Familiarity eventually leads to trust. That's the real key. You do business with people that you like and trust. Trust is a key ingredient in selling your service or product. That eventually leads to a purchase. Now, this process is something else too. This sounds familiar. In fact, typically when I'm in front of an audience, I'll ask them, how many people in this room are married? Well, this is the dating process. This is actually, you want to date your customers. Think about this. You don't just walk into a bar and walk up to the first pretty girl or handsome guy that you see and say, will you marry me? They would generally call the bouncers or scream or run away. But that's the way that most marketers market. They say, we're great, buy from us. Instead, think about the marketing process as the dating process. You want to simply expose little by little over time, creating awareness and familiarity, eventually trust. And you do that through information. You help people solve their problems or answer their questions. And that's really part of the 4 Ps of marketing. Now, the traditional or classic 4 Ps are your product, which is also your service, the price, how much are you charging for that product or service, the place, that is your location. Are you limited to a local business? Are you a landscaper? Or are you providing a service like a business consultant that can be done anywhere? So your place or how you distribute your products is important. Your promotion, again, the marketing component of it. But there's a 5th P. The 5th P really comes in with websites in the online community, and that is participation. When you have people review your service or review your company, they're actually participating in the marketing process, even though they don't recognize that. They're providing what's called social proof. When you ask people for feedback on a product or service, that again is participation. It's helping you with your marketing. What do you need to change or do better? So take advantage of that participation component in putting together your marketing. Now, it's good to know from other people's mistakes what not to do, or the biggest mistakes that people make in marketing, thinking that there's somehow one right way to do it. And this will address the concern of all you perfectionists out there. I share your issue there with perfectionism, and they say perfect is the enemy of good. Well, Thinking that there's one right way to do marketing is going to kill your efforts. You'll be stuck in analysis paralysis for a long time. So get rid of that idea right away. Just start doing things. There's one marketing guru that I heard, he called it fail forward fast. Just keep doing things and you'll learn from your mistakes. Thinking that the experts know how to do it right. Well, I'm a so-called marketing expert. I don't always get it right. I can't always tell you how to do it the right way. So you have to try a variety of things, and eventually you'll find things that work. It's not just a matter of spending more money. And a lot of people think that they have to spend money to make money. There are a lot of free ways to do marketing. And I'll give you one quick example here that's easy to do, and yet most businesses don't do this. In your outgoing voicemail, do you have your website? That is, do you even mention your website in your voicemail message? If you don't, change it now. It's an easy thing to do. And when they can't reach you, your customers will be able to find the answers to their questions or learn more about your business through your website. Doing what your competitors do. I've heard this many, many times. Well, my website doesn't look like my competitors. Make it look like my competitors. The problem with that is that if you make your marketing just like your competitors, you won't stand out. And you want to be different from your competitors. You want to be head and shoulders above your competitors. You want to be the resource, not the vendor. So you don't want to just get your name out there. Branding has been a big thing in the marketing field for many years. Having the right logo or the right tagline or the right business name, the right slogans, all those things are important. But frankly, your customers don't care what the name of your company is or what your logo looks like. Your mom might care, but your customers don't. So when it comes to branding, you can't ignore it, but it's really not where you want to spend your money or your effort. Instead, you want to focus on relationships. That's the real key for small business services, is building relationships with your customers. Somehow a lot of companies think you can't measure effectiveness. That is, when you put up a website or you run an ad or you do a trade show or you have a sign someplace, how do you measure the effectiveness of that? Well, it is true that you can measure effectiveness. And I'll give you a quick example of that. One of our clients is an industrial boiler company. He does trade shows all over the United States. Well, we helped work with his graphic designer to design the background in his booth. And we left room for a QR code, that little spotted code that you take a picture of and then it leads you to a website. He has a different QR code for every show that he does. And when somebody clicks on the QR code, it takes them to a special page on the website just for that show. So when he does that show, he can measure the effectiveness of his booth in that trade show by how many clicks he got on the website to that specific show page. You can't find that page anyplace by navigating around his website. The only way you could get there is by clicking on that QR code. So there is a way to measure even offline events and campaigns by linking them back to your website. Another big mistake here is thinking that marketing is an expense. Once in a while, I'll get a check from a client. I see the check stub and it says computer expense. And I'll call up the owner and I'll let them know buying a website or building a website or maintaining it or improving it isn't a computer thing. It's a marketing thing. And it's not an expense. It's an investment. A marketing friend of mine put it this way. He said, if for every quarter you gave me, I gave you $1 back, how many quarters would you give me? Well, you'd give them every one you could possibly find or dig up. So when you crack the code, when you figure out what marketing works, then you'll know how to market effectively so that it produces a return on the investment. You want a positive ROI. You can't see marketing as just an expense. You want to see it as an investment. So when it comes back to what do you do, what business are you in, what problems do you solve? Knowing what problems you solve helps you frame that in the minds of your clients. It changes everything from your brochures to your marketing messages that you deliver at chamber events or networking events to what your website looks like or what it says. What problems do you solve? Who is your ideal client? And identifying this specifically can change how you do business. Now, here's an example of that. Many years ago, we helped a chiropractor. And when he would deliver his message, he, tongue-in-cheek, would say, a good referral for me is anybody with a spine. Well, it produces a chuckle the first time or two you hear about it, but you realize, I don't know how to refer a business to this guy. Everybody already has a spine. So what I told him instead was to ask his referral partners, the next time you're in line or with a group of friends and you see somebody adjusting their own neck or adjusting their head, tap them on the shoulder and say, you know, there's a better way to do that, a safer way to do that. I've got a referral partner, a chiropractor that you should go talk to. It gives you something specific to look for. And it's what I call a concrete, observable clue. When you identify your ideal clients, you want to identify specifically how people can look for and hear and see clues that would lead them to refer business to you. You want to identify your ideal client, not just in terms of their demographics or psychographics. Who are they, their income levels, their geography, what magazines they read, or what sports they play. You want to identify them based on the characteristics that you want in a client. So for instance, in our business plan, we identify our ideal clients as those people who are willing to take advice. It's really hard to work with a client who doesn't listen to you or who thinks they know better. So when it comes to your clients, identify the specific characteristics. For instance, would you rather work with a client who's fun rather than one who's all serious all the time or grumpy all the time? So write those things down in your ideal client description. When you get people, what is it that you actually help people achieve or do? What is it that they get out of your services? So how do my products or services help people is what we're getting to here. And what you're really focused on are benefits. We're going to talk more about that here in a minute. So by identifying the benefits, that's really how you help people. Not just what you do or what you build or what you provide, but what is it that they get out of it? That's what they're really interested in. The marketing story here is you don't buy a drill, you're buying a hole. What you really want is a hole, not the drill. And so think about your services in that way. They don't necessarily need your service, they want the end result. Also think about what it is that you do that's unique. Now, it could be that you offer a guarantee of some kind. We do, for instance, when we build a website for a client, if we build it, design it, write it, host it, maintain it, we give a 1-year, 100% satisfaction, full money back guarantee. I don't know of any other web company on the planet that does that. So you want to structure your guarantee in some way that is different from everybody else. Now, the guarantee is just one way that you can be unique. Maybe you deliver your product or service in 30 minutes or less. Maybe it is you have something that's totally different than everybody else in the way of packaging. What is your identity? That's another key ingredient to what you do. Are you the zany, wacky guys who make everybody laugh? Are you the professorial, knowledgeable people that inform your customers and teach them things? Who are you? I'll give you an example of that. Many years ago, we worked with a client who was an unfinished furniture business, Christian family, and they wanted to be able to put Bible verses and the Christian fish on their website. But they were worried that that would turn some people off. And so they asked me, should we do this? And I said, well, guaranteed it will turn some people off. There are just those people out there. But guaranteed too, there will be some people that appeals to. In any case, here's my advice. Be who you are. Don't try to be something different. Don't try to hide from the facts. When you be who you are, people will appreciate your being genuine and honest, and they will flock to you. There will be some people who don't like your message. That's fine. They probably weren't good customers or clients to begin with. So be who you are. What is your identity? If you don't decide this by design, it'll be decided for you by default, and it may not be what you want. So determine what is your identity. Your 30-second commercial is an example of how you deliver your message. So for instance, think about how you give what's called your elevator pitch or your 30-second commercial. When you do that, ideally you want to describe what you do, but if you do that in a way that makes more sense. For example, tell stories. The old marketing adage is stories sell, facts tell. So you want to sell your product by telling stories. And when you do that, follow what I call the problem resolution format. Here was a customer who had a problem. Here's how we came in and saved the day. So when you give those 30-second commercials, make it memorable. Have a tagline or a hook. Learn how to do 30-second commercials. That will also help you present and promote your product or service. When it comes to networking, and that is that 30-second elevator speech, networking events are a great way to build business. In fact, I've heard it said that 80% of most small businesses get their business by networking. That could be referrals, it could be belonging to a formal networking group, things like the Chamber of Commerce or a group called BNI, Business Network International. In fact, Forbes magazine said the third most important thing you can do in your business is join a networking group like BNI. When you are at a networking event, be the first one to extend your hand. Don't be a wallflower. Don't sit in the corner. I know it can be painful for those of us out there who are relatively shy, but you have to get over that. Be the first to extend your hand. You'll find over time that it can actually become fun. Don't push your message on other people. Instead, ask them about their business. If you seek first to understand and be interested in them, then they'll be interested in you. So I always ask them, tell me about what you do. Who do you help? Who's your ideal client? How would I refine referrals for you? And they find that the more I'm interested in them, they'll start to ask the same questions of me. Now, it's not a matter of trying to gather as many business cards as you can. That's not the point of a networking group or a networking meeting. Instead, it's to try to find those referral partners who can bring business to you. So don't be a salesperson, be interested in other people. So again, give your 30-second commercial, but make sure that it's rehearsed. Make sure that it doesn't sound rehearsed, but make sure that you rehearse it to the point where it fits any situation. Follow up with a note. This is ideal, and not many people do it. If you can send them a written note, oh my gosh, will you stand out? Because so few people actually do that. At the very least, send them an email. Tell them it was nice to meet them. Let them know that you might have a referral for them if you do. Refer them to another company who might be able to send them referrals. The more that you can do to help them, remember there's that helping component, the more you can do to help them, the more likely it is that they'll help you back. When you find a way to send them business, again, they're going to be grateful for that. And it's the law of reciprocity. It's called giver's gain. When you give something, many times it will come back to help you. So those are some keys when it comes to networking. That's a great way to promote your business. Get involved with some kind of a formal network. Now, part of what we talked about here is helping people, answering the objections, answering their questions. But you have to do this in a way that's meaningful to them. All too often, I talk to marketers, salespeople that focus on their benefits, focus on their features. So, for instance, they're selling a product that is 9 times better than the competitors, or it's faster, or it does more good for you, or it's healthier, or it helps you sleep faster, whatever it might be. So they focus on the features, but they don't focus on what are called the benefits. So the way to figure out what your benefits are is to say, so what? So if you say, well, we power rake your lawn when we do your lawn mowing. Okay, you do power raking. I don't know what that means. Tell me what that is. So then you tell them we will get down and we lift up some of the thatch and we remove the old dead grass from your lawn. Okay, well, that's the advantage. I still don't know what the benefit is for me. Well, the benefit is now you have a healthier lawn. Your lawn will look better. You'll be more proud of your landscaping. You'll be more proud to show off your home. So there it is, pride of ownership. That's the real benefit. So when it comes to that kind of a feature, power raking, the advantage might be, here's what it does for your lawn. It makes your lawn healthier. But the benefit is pride of ownership. You'll feel better about your home. If you keep asking yourself, so what, after you deliver these lines, eventually what you come down to, almost always, is some kind of emotion. There's another adage in sales and marketing. People buy based on facts. They make decisions based on facts, or they think they are, but they really buy based on emotions. So you want to give them the facts, something that they think they're basing their buying decision on. But what they really buy on is their emotion. What do they get out of the equation with you? So where do you start? How do we get started with building a marketing plan? The biggest thing is you have to decide, what are your big goals? What is it that you want out of your business? That helps you determine your goals. I have a marketing friend, his name is Harv Eker, and he said something to me 20 years ago that really stuck. He said the number one reason that people don't get what they want is they don't know what they want. So decide what you want. Again, it's a decision. Decide what you want out of your business. Know what your resources are. We all have resources. We all have shortcomings. It's time, talent, money, and everything else. It's not just money. What kind of effort are you willing to put forward? How much time do you have? How much can you leverage from other people? Leverage is a key ingredient. Know your strengths and your weaknesses. One of the weaknesses that we have is we're not the greatest when it comes to design. That is, graphic design isn't our foremost skill. We have good design, professionally appropriate design, but we're not the cool and crazy design guys. But it works for our clients. So we don't promote ourselves as fantastic designers. We'll let the other guys talk about their services that way. But what we do in our case, our strength, is building your business. We're like the marketing consultants and business consultants that help you build your website. So play to your strengths, downplay your weaknesses. Know who your market is too. Know who your clients are. Know who your competitors are. Again, define your clients using the information we used before, not just the demographic or psychographics, but what do you want? There's that number one key again, knowing what you want, and you'll tend to attract what you want. Know who your competitors are. What can you do better than them? What can you do that would appeal to your customers that the other guys aren't doing? How can you stand out? A great book on this topic comes from Seth Godin, S-E-T-H, that's his first name. Godin, G-O-D-I-N, is his last name. And the book is called Purple Cow. Purple Cow is all about how do you stand out from your competitors. If you drove past a field of 1,000 cows, you really wouldn't notice any individual ones. But if there was a purple cow out in the field, that would draw your attention right away. So how do you be the purple cow? Know what your options are. That is, know what you can do when it comes to marketing your business. You know that you can put up a website or create business cards. You know that you can go join a networking group. But did you know that the local library is sometimes interested in seminars? You could go give a seminar at the local library. It can't be too commercial. They don't want you just giving a sales pitch. But if you can do something at the local library where you're really helping the community in some way or helping others, they'll welcome you to give that seminar at the library. Did you know you could even do that? So there are lots of options you have to be aware of in order for you to implement. And the real key here is start somewhere. Do something. Again, fail forward fast. Don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. We talked to a client many years ago that had a product that was made out of fabric. It was sewn together. It was kind of an interesting idea, kind of unique. But he spent a while talking to factories, talking to designers, talking to buyers of department stores. And in fact, he was putting together his business plan for a total of 10 years. He still wasn't finished. He didn't want to launch a website until he had everything perfectly aligned. He was caught in analysis paralysis. He could never gather enough information to move forward and just get things going. As far as I know, he never actually launched his business. That's a sad story. He had a great product, and if he had just gotten off the dime and taken action, he might be making money today and providing value to the world. So start somewhere, anywhere, just get going. And again, you want to market by design rather than by default or by ad hoc. You want to decide what it is you want to do. You decide the image that you want to portray. You decide the messages that you're delivering. You decide the value that you're bringing. Don't let other people decide that for you by its absence. And finally, all of this is an attitude of test, measure, repeat. It's a matter of doing it over and over again. When it comes to marketing, you are never done. So it continues literally forever for the length of your business. And it all starts with a plan. So what do you do when you're building your marketing plan? Well, you have to start with some kind of a profitable business model. You should have some kind of analysis about what works in the real world. Maybe you've been in business for a while and you've tried a variety of things. So you start with the things that work the best. Most small businesses tell me that 80% of their business comes from referral. Great. Let's do that. Instead of advertising on radio, let's do something more about referrals. How do we get more referral business? So we determine that ideal customer profile. Again, that goes back to what we talked about, not just the psychographics or demographics, but what ideally do you want? Unless you know what ideal customer you want and you decide you'll take anyone, you'll wind up with a lot of customers that may not be ideal. So it's not about who you'll take, it's about who do you want as a customer. Develop your long-term goals, and you have to break those goals down in a certain way that we'll look at here in a moment. Establishing a purpose for your marketing. Are you educating people? Are you trying to persuade people? Are you trying to get them to take some kind of an action? Decide what that purpose for the marketing is, and it should always involve some kind of an action. So it begins with a plan. You have a business plan, and typically a business plan is made up of 3 or 4 components. There's some kind of an executive summary that kind of describes the whole thing. but there's an information about how your business is structured, your operations part about the business. How are you going to get things done? How are you going to produce your service or your product? And then there's the financial part of the plan. How are you going to pay for it? Where is the money coming from? How much money are you going to make? Where is the money going to go? And then there's the marketing part of the plan. The marketing part of the plan incorporates a website plan. Now, I'm a website guy, so this is an important part of the plan. But from my view, the marketing plan is the most important part of your business plan. If you don't have a marketing plan, if you haven't identified your target audience, you don't know how to connect with them, you don't know where they live, figuratively and literally, then it's all for naught. You can have the best product or service. You can have your attorneys review your business plans to a T. You can have the greatest contracts. You can have the best CPA in the business. You might be very profitable, but unless you have a way to connect your business to your ideal clients, it's like your marketing is on a billboard that's face down in the desert. Nobody will ever see it. Nobody will know about you. You can have the best mousetrap in the world, but unless you have a great marketing plan and incorporated within that a great business plan, marketing plan rather, website plan, then nobody's going to know who you are. So how do you develop that marketing plan? Again, you set long-term goals. If you want to produce $1 million in revenue next year, that's great. How are you going to get there? It's supported by your specific objectives. So let's take a look at that. We want to produce $1 million in revenue next year. So what is our objective? Well, maybe our objective in this case is to really connect with our clients. Okay, that's an objective, connecting with our clients. That's going to help us be more profitable. So then you develop strategies to do that. Well, connecting with our clients. Maybe one way to do that is to listen to our clients. Well, if we listen to our clients more and we produce what they want, okay, that might help us get to our goal. But that's just a strategy. What are the specific tactics that will help us listen to our clients more? Well, maybe every time we perform a service, we give them a feedback card. Or every time we deliver a product, we put that feedback card in the box. Maybe we call together our top 10 clients, we buy them dinner, and we have what's called a focus group. We ask our clients, not just what is it that we do that you like, but how can we make it better? And what products or services could we provide in addition to the ones that you've used that you might find helpful? So it's this kind of top-down pyramid. You start with your objectives, you fill in the next level with your strategies, but then you really complete the pyramid with your individual tactics. You don't just have to have one objective or one strategy or one tactic. It's a matter of building this from the top down. You start with what you want, and then you decide by this process of developing what it is that you do in order to get what you want. So develop a marketing plan from the top down. Decide what you want first. When you develop these specific tactics or these strategies, this is like building a Parthenon. So in this example, if you want to develop a profitable online business or profitable service business, whatever profitable business you want to make, these pillars of marketing rest upon your financial plan, your operations plan, and your mission, vision, values. So you don't want to just rely on search engines. All too often these days, especially with service businesses, you build a website and then you just hope and pray that the search engines pick it up. Or maybe you buy some Google ads or you pay for some online marketing in some way. But if you just rely on that, think about this Parthenon, this building. Is it going to stand on just one pillar? It doesn't work that way. Instead, you want to rely on a variety of things to support your business. It could be your signage, your advertising, direct mail pieces, your salespeople, the trade shows that you do, remember your outgoing voicemail, and other tactics that you provide. All of these have to work in conjunction. Just like that industrial boiler company, when they put the QR code in their booth, you know what? They also put that QR code on the signs for the locations that are installing their boilers. They also, when they have salespeople out and about, they direct them to specific pages on the website that are appropriate for those specific audiences. So all of your efforts should tie together. They should be consistent. They should cross-refer one to another one. So a radio ad should refer to your trade show, which should refer to your website. All of your tactics should work together in conjunction. This is the way a good marketing plan is built. Everything stands on everything else. Now, when it comes to a marketing plan or a business plan, you have to figure out, how am I going to pay for this? Where's the money coming from? And where is it going to go? So when it comes to acquiring new clients, think about this. Marketing ways to develop new clients are generally going to cost you 4 to 5 times the amount of doing business with an existing client. So let's say that you're in the garage door business. When you're selling to a particular client, you're selling them a garage door and the service to put it up or to maintain it. But it's a one and done kind of proposition for most garage door companies. How often do you replace a garage door? What's it for, 10 years or 20 years? Instead, how can you do more business with that existing client? Maybe you do ancillary service like garage floors or garage storage systems. Maybe you don't do that work yourself. Maybe you simply refer it out to partners, but now you're making money from those additional sales based on your one time with that client. That client already trusts you. How can you then add value for that client? And you want to think about what the average lifetime value is for that client. So when a new client comes to your dog grooming business, okay, so it's $50 to shampoo and cut your dog's hair. And if they come back again, it's another $50. And if they come back again, it's another $50. And they do business with you maybe once a year, twice a year over the course of 5 years. So twice a year, $50, that's $100 a year. And if they come back over the course of 5 years, that's $500 from that one client. If they refer you to another client, well, now that one client, that first one, is worth $1,000 to you because they've referred an additional client. So figure out what the lifetime value of that client is. If a lifetime value of a client is $1,000, you could, theoretically, spend $999 to get a client and still be profitable. That client could bring in $1,000 in profit. So you have to think about what the lifetime value of a client is in determining how much you can spend on a client. But let's say that you don't have a whole lot of clients and you're still trying to figure out how much should I budget for my marketing? Well, another approach, I call this the thumbnail approach, is to just simply tag about 5 to 10% of your revenue, your gross annual revenue. So if you make $100,000 in a year, you should be spending $5,000 to $10,000 on marketing. Should is the operative word. Now, it doesn't mean you have to. You might spend 1%, you might spend 20%. But again, it's just a thumbnail way to figure out what should I be spending on my marketing. Spread it out over multiple exposures. The famous examples of this were around 2000 when we had the dot-com boom, or the dot-com bust as it was called. We had companies spending money on Super Bowl ads. They would spend millions of dollars on Super Bowl ads and then be out of business because it didn't bring in the revenue they expected. So you don't want to be a one and done kind of thing. You don't want to spend all of your money on one shot. So don't spend a lot of money making your website fancy or doing a big ad campaign of some kind or spending it all on SEO or Google Ads. You want to spread it out over time, develop a marketing calendar in order to expose it over time. And always test it first. For instance, when we're doing SEO, search engine optimization campaigns for clients, we do what we call a discovery campaign. We'll run it for a month. We'll figure out what works and what doesn't work before they ever spend a lot of money on it. So you spend a few $100s just testing, figuring out what works. It's called cracking the code. Once you figure it out, then you can make money at it, but always test first. And then do what works. Like I said, 80% of clients do business from referral marketing. Okay, if that's what works, then repeat that. Maybe you add a referral program. So in our case, for instance, if somebody refers business to us and it results in a full website, we pay them $100 and we give a $100 discount to the person they referred us to. It's a win-win-win. Figure out whatever works in your marketing and do more of that. Think creatively rather than just with your checkbook. All too often, we run into clients every day who think the way to market is to reduce prices. Sale, sale, sale. Just put things on sale. I call that the lazy man's way to market. And really, when you think about it, it's trying to compete with your competitors by hanging on the longest by your fingernails. It's painful, and it doesn't result in a lot of profit. Again, you have to be profitable in order to bring your value to the world. So how do you creatively think about your marketing so that it doesn't just cost you money? You have to figure it out. And let me give you an example of that. You have to set up the sale with your marketing. It's not about just what you want, it's about what your customers want. Remember, the whole objective here is to figure out the benefits that your customers are after. You're not just selling to people, you're helping them buy. People buy from people that they like and trust. So remember that whole equation with providing information from creating exposure to awareness, to recognition, to familiarity, to trust. It's a process. And it's based on emotion. They justify it rationally. They think they're buying based on the numbers or the process, but they really buy based on emotion. Do they like you? Do they see what it does for them? It's the difference of selling aspirin or vitamins. It's harder to sell vitamins. With aspirin, you're selling, how do I get rid of the headache? How to get rid of the pain? With vitamins, well, you can't feel yourself not getting cancer or feeling healthier over time. It's harder to sell vitamins. It's easier to sell things that help them solve their pains. So what are their pain points? And there are really 3 keys to selling anything. And I want you to write this down. Get out a pen, number your page 1, 2, 3. It doesn't matter what service or what product you're selling. It always comes down to the benefits. And it always comes down to these 3 things. Number 1, like I said, is benefits. Benefits are what they get out of the equation. The second key to selling anything are benefits. And as you haven't guessed, the third key to selling anything is benefits. It's all about benefits. So focus your marketing around the benefits, not just the what, but the why. What is it that they get out of doing business with you? How are you helping people? What do they get? The little acronym, the adage, the mnemonic that you can remember is WIIFM. Sounds like a radio station. WIIFM. It stands for what's in it for me. So that's what your customers, that's what your clients are looking for. What's in it for me? And if you can describe what's in it for them, you can address the benefits, you can help them answer their questions, then you're going to be a great marketer. So what not to do, you don't want to focus just on a big logo. We get this a lot in the web business. Make my logo bigger. Well, again, you care, your mom cares, but your customers, frankly, don't care about your logo, as long as it looks what I call professionally appropriate. Yes, your logo needs to look professionally appropriate. It should be a professional logo. But it doesn't have to spend, you don't have to spend a lot of money developing a logo. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be the next Nike swoosh. It's important that it describes your identity, but don't spend a lot of time on it because, frankly, your customers don't care. Having a list of your services is not a good way to go. I see this a lot with websites or brochures. It's simply a list of services. We can cut and color your hair, and we can give you a perm, and we can shampoo your hair, and all these things we can do with your hair. Okay, well, that's not what's important to me. What I want to know is, are you going to make it look great? Am I going to feel good when you do my hair? So you want to make sure you're not just listing your services. You want to provide the benefits that you provide. If you don't have an offer, come in today and it's a 2-for-1 deal, or if you refer business to us, you get a $100 check, or whatever the offer is. Unless you give them a compelling reason to take action, generally speaking, they don't. How many times have you heard a radio ad, or you've seen something online or on TV, and you thought, that would be of interest, and you write it down, only to never go there again? And that's what I'm saying, is that you have to have a compelling reason to take action. Part of the reason that people don't take action is they're afraid of the risk. If they have to spend $100 or $1,000 or $10,000 to buy your service or your product, what's in it for them to prevent them from losing that money? Like I said, in our case, we give a guarantee. We give you a full 1 year, 100% satisfaction, 100% money back guarantee. You don't have to go to that length, but what is it you do to reverse the risk? So for instance, if you are providing a service, you're mowing their lawn, and you give them a bag of flower seeds just as a thank you for allowing them to let you mow their lawn. And if they don't like it, they get their money back and they can keep the flower seeds. Well, or they can just keep the flower seeds. So give some kind of a risk reversal. When it comes to showing faces on your website, this is something that's important in your brochure, in your website, in all of your marketing materials. Show the faces of your happy customers. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this in websites that people have when they come to us. And here's a real life example of this. Let's say that you walk past a restaurant and you looked in the restaurant windows and there was nobody inside. Would that be more compelling or less compelling for you to want to eat there? I would say, generally speaking, less compelling. Unless there's a restaurant busy full of happy customers and they're being served and they're having a good time, when you look in the window and you see all those people, that tells you it's a great place to eat. You want to do the same thing with your pictures in all of your marketing materials. Show faces of happy customers, whether it's being a trustworthy therapist or the friendly bookkeeper or whatever it is service you provide. You want to show those happy customers. You want to also provide content of value. Content of value, whether it's on a brochure where you teach people something, or it's an online seminar, or it's your website, or it's the seminar at the library, or it's the how-to something that you hand out or in a downloadable PDF. You always want to be providing something of value. Doing a seminar like this is something of value that I'm providing as a way to promote my business. And again, you want to be unique. What is it that you're doing uniquely that the other guys don't or won't or can't do? If you take your logo and you remove it and replace somebody else's logo in your ad or in your website or in your brochure, and it still rings true, then you're not doing anything unique. You want to make sure that you stand out. You want to be that purple cow that the other guys can't or won't do. Let me give you an example of this. These are some websites I took some pictures of a few years ago, so these are kind of old-looking websites, but it's the same kind of thing you'd see today. So in this case, we have massage therapist as a service example. Oh, it's an okay site. But when you look at that headline, Seattle Clinical Licensed Massage Therapist, is there any benefit to be found in that website? Nope. We don't even see anything compelling as a call to action. Make your appointment now. Limited time here. It says click here to set up an appointment, but why should I? How does she stand out from her competitors? Here's another one with the worst headline that I've seen in a lot of places. Welcome to our website. Welcome to our business. Welcome to the name of my company. Well, they're already there. You don't need to welcome them. Instead, what you need to do is spell out why they should do business with you. What's the number one benefit of doing business with this business? It's the same thing that we see over and over again. A big picture of their business, their office, but not a soul in sight, not a face to be seen. We want to see happy customers. We want to see relaxed customers getting massage. We want to see people experiencing the benefits of doing business with this company. Not their big, huge logo, not the name of their company even. I want to see happy faces. I want to understand in an instant what the benefit is of doing business with this company. In this case, think about the mismatch of messages here. This is supposed to be a massage sanctuary, but instead I see concrete blocks. How welcoming and warm and fuzzy is that? So instead, I would rather see somebody on the table leaning their face toward the camera, showing how relaxed and happy they are. That's the better way to communicate your marketing messages. So think about what's professionally appropriate, yes, but also what communicates the value of what you bring to your clients. Here's another example from advertising. We worked with this client, long-term client, almost 20 years, and he decided to run some ads. So in this case, we put together an ad that didn't just promote his service, but that answered the fear that a lot of people have. And the fear is, if I hire the wrong painting contractor, I'm going to expend a lot of money or too much money, and I may not get what I want. So we're going to teach people, here's that educational component, we're going to teach people how to find the right painting contractor. And it warns them, don't choose the wrong painting contractor without this vital information. What are the 7 critical questions to ask your painter? What are the keys to ensuring that your paint is long-lasting? What are the 2 techniques that your painter must use? How to correctly choose the right colors? So in this way, you're setting up the stage for those benefits that people are looking for. You're answering the objections in advance. You're reassuring them that their fears will be overcome. And we simply send them to the website to download this free report. Of course, in exchange for the free report, we're asking them for their name and email address. This is what's called an ethical bribe. Nothing wrong with a bribe if it's ethical. Remember, we're communicating this correctly and accurately, telling the truth attractively. So when they go download the brochure or the story about how to find the right painting contractor, we're doing it well and we're doing it accurately. People get their answers, their questions answered and their objections met. So here's an advertising example. You want to stand out from the crowd. Remember that purple cow. Be a resource. Be outrageous. Maybe you're the funny, zany guys or something that's totally wacky and different. Be unique in some way. Maybe that's being more knowledgeable than the other guys. Maybe it's being more friendly than the other guys. Maybe it's offering a guarantee the other guys can't do. Whatever it is, be unique. And be a self-promoter. Again, you want to toot your own horn because the other guys won't. It's not a matter of being arrogant or flashy. It's a matter of just standing up for what's true. Be client-centered and client-focused. Again, specify those benefits all day long. Ask what it is that my clients need, and then that's the information you need to communicate in your marketing messages. And be everywhere your clients are. So if they attend trade shows or family events, put yourself in front of them. Have a booth or an ad in the program. Be in front of them. We have a client, for instance, that's a restaurant in Desert Springs, California, and there's a tennis tournament happening there soon. So the promoters of the tennis tournament would not allow the restaurant to advertise in the program. Why? Well, because they already have a deal with the local restaurant. So how do we get in front of all those affluent tennis fans? Well, we're making deals with the local hotels so that the concierge in each of those hotels refers our client. We're putting up a website where there's a special offer. If you bring in your ticket, you get half off on a meal or a free dessert or whatever they decide the offer to be. So there are ways to get in front of your customers wherever your customers live or play. You want to set the buying criteria so that you become the only logical choice. This is something that we do. We have a website comparison checklist. Or for our painter contractor, when he promotes this free report, the last page of the report is a list of 20 things to look for in a painting contractor. And you want to make sure that you teach people how to find somebody in your service industry, and you set the buying criteria such that you're the only logical choice. Again, what makes you stand out? What makes you unique? You teach people those are the things to go look for. In our case, we tell people, look for a website company that's been in business at least 10 years. We've been in business almost 25. So that's the kind of thing to teach people that will lead them to find you as the only logical choice. You check all the boxes where the other guys don't necessarily check the boxes. Some marketing tactics. You want to make sure that you collect the information from your clients or prospects so that you can promote yourself to them on a repeated basis, especially if the service that you provide is a little bit more expensive or if it deals with specific areas. For instance, if it deals with their individual health, if it deals with their family, if it deals with their money, or if it deals with their home. Those are what I call close to the vest marketing things. So those are things that people really make sure they're careful of when they buy products or services. So if you address those kinds of things, you have to do an exceptional job of making sure that you're providing extra value before they're willing to give you their name and address or email address. So you have to give them information first. You want to make sure you line up joint venture partners. It doesn't mean going into business with somebody. I'll give you an example of this coming up in a moment. But these are the partners that can help refer business to you, and you can refer business to them. There are a whole bunch of ways that you can do marketing for free. So for instance, doing a seminar like this, or at the local library. You can put up flyers in laundromats or at the grocery store. You can hand out coupons at the grocery store parking lot. You can put flyers on people's windshields. There are lots of different ways that you can do marketing tactics that are free. In fact, there's a whole book about this. I think it's called 60 Free Ways to Market Your Business, and it's from J. Conrad Levinson. I'll show the book right at the very end. There are additional revenue generators, things that you can do to create additional business. So again, if you are the garage door guy, instead of the one and done garage door installation or repair, then you're selling somebody else's services or promoting them, and then you're picking up a small percentage without even having to do the work. There's something I'll talk about later on that is the best way that you can make money from your business. So hang on through the end. We're going to talk about that coming up. So it's time to brainstorm about an idea. How can we use a marketing tactic to promote your business? Well, here's one. It's called the coupon book example. And we're doing this with a Montessori school client of ours. So I'll walk you through the process. The very first thing is we want to figure out what action do you want your prospects to take? And it isn't necessarily buying from you. In the case of the Montessori school, they simply want their prospective clients to come take a tour. If they get a parent, to come through and take a tour of the school, their odds are 50-50 of making the sale. So for every 2 prospective clients to come and take a tour, they're going to make a sale. So they want to create an incentive for them not to make the purchase, but to take the action. So how can they incent taking the tour? The way to do that is to make the value of the incentive greater than the perceived pain or risk or effort of, in this case, taking the tour, taking that action. So what I've asked them to do is to go around to the local area and find other businesses that work with that same client, parents. So the parents are going to need kids' clothing. They might be interested in the gymboree, the gym program for kids, the acrobatics program for kids. It might be the piano teacher or the music score that appeals to the kids' interest in music. It might be the local family restaurants. And what our client, the Montessori school, does is when they approach these other businesses, they say, if you give me a coupon of some kind for your business, it might be a buy one, get one free. It's called BOGO. It might be some kind of a discount off. It might be something of extra service. It might be try us for a month, money back guarantee, whatever it might be. And you put together what I call a coupon book. Now, in our case here with this Montessori school, we're aiming at $250 worth of value. We figure that's the value of an hour to take a tour. If we can give them, the prospective clients, a coupon book worth of $250 of coupons, and even if they don't buy the Montessori school, if they don't register their child, they still get to go home with this booklet of $250 worth of these coupons. That's an amazing thing. Even if you didn't buy the service, you get to go home with $250 worth of value. That's a cool deal. So think about how this might apply to your business, how you can provide value even if somebody doesn't buy your product or service. You want to always be improving your marketing materials, whether it's your website or your brochure or whatever else. The headlines are the compelling part of this. Think about your headline like the resume. The resume doesn't get you the job. It gets you the interview. Your headline won't convince somebody to buy from you. It'll simply get them to read further. Read your brochure, read your booklet, read your website, watch your video. Whatever the headline is, it needs to be compelling, intriguing, maybe even controversial. It has to contain some kind of a hook, something that's memorable, something that sets you apart from the other guys. The headlines, again, make the prospects read further. Test your headlines. Change out of headlines. Print 2 different brochures. Hand them out to various clients and ask which one is more compelling. Go with the one that clients find more compelling. Go with the one that works. Set up 2 different websites. Put different headlines on it. It's called an A/B test. A is one website, B is the other website. Find which one drives more traffic. Test them out. Remember, test, repeat, measure. Avoid what I call the I, our, us syndrome. This is a huge mistake, and most marketers make this mistake. And I'll show you some examples of that coming up. There are some magic words that you can put into your headlines too. Instead of learn, because learning involves effort, right? If instead you say discover, well, you stumble across something and discover it. It doesn't take effort. If they're secrets, well, this is something that nobody else is saying. If it's a weird something or other, that's something that's attractive, it's interesting, it's intriguing. So those are key words, and there's lots of other ones that will drive people to read your marketing materials, to read those headlines. You always want to phrase things to the positive. So you don't want to say something like, she couldn't be happier. Instead, say, she raves about our services now. So always phrase things to the positive. Instead of saying, don't forget, say, always remember. Again, phrase things to the positive in your headlines and your content and your copy. So here's an example, maybe kind of hard to see on your screen. This was a website that we just pulled out of nowhere, just found an example. And all the things that are circled in the red are either the name of the company or we or our or us. So here's another example. Here's a massage therapist, and in his content, I know it's on his About Us page, but it's I, my, all the way through down the page. I think there's one instance of you or your on the whole page. Here's another example. It's even hard to tell what these guys do. It's hard to see, first of all. Make sure people can read what you have. The contrast is so low, and the text was so tiny, it's hard to read. So make sure that the readability factor is important. But in among all of this stuff, it talks about the company, and it talks about their services, their features, but it doesn't list a single benefit. Why would I do business with this company? So always make sure that you avoid this I, our, us syndrome. You want to provide that valuable information, create some kind of an offer. Use that risk reversal. It could be that you get your service in 30 minutes or less, or you get to keep the free gift and don't have to pay for the service. It might be some kind of a guarantee. It might be that you get the coupon book just by attending a tour. Use that risk reversal. You lower the risk for your clients in doing business with you. And in terms of creating that offer, you always want to make sure that you're asking them to do something. It's called a call to action. The most important thing is you want to ask. Ask for the referral. Ask them to watch the video. Ask them to download the PDF. Ask them for the sale. Ask them for do something. You want to really push them to take some kind of an action, because if you don't ask, nothing happens. This is good advice for life in general. Unless you ask for what you want, you won't get what you want. First of all, you have to know what you want, but if you don't ask for what you want, you generally won't get anything as a result. So you have to ask them to take action. Ask them for the referral. Ask them for the sale. Ask them to do something. So I have a recommended reading list. I want to go through some of these just as an example. The first two books are by Mark Joyner, The Irresistible Offer and The Great Formula. So what Mark talks about in these two books is really creating something that compels people to want to do business with you. So this irresistible offer is what we were just talking about, this call to action. And if you're weak on your call to action, read that book. He talks about how to make your offer irresistible. And the great formula is this. What's the most important thing in your business? Is it having the world's most fantastic product? Nope. Is it about having the world's best marketing? Nope. Is it having the best pricing? Nope. It's about having a hungry audience. If you have a hungry audience, people that want what you have to sell, that's the real key. If you know where there's a need in the audience and you go fill it, you'll be successful. That's what the great formula is about. Permission marketing is something else that's critical. I mentioned Seth Godin in his Purple Cow book. Read that one too. But you also want to read Permission Marketing. And this goes against the idea of what's called interruption marketing. You get a flyer taped to your door or your mailbox. You have a commercial on TV that interrupts your watching. You have a billboard that interrupts the view as you're driving. There's a radio spot that interrupts your listening. There's a website that interrupts whatever it is that you're reading. That's a little ad on the side of the page. All of these things are what are called interruption marketing. You're trying to interrupt somebody's, and to get their attention span, you're trying to attract their attention, steal away from something else. Instead, what Seth is marketing here is the idea of getting people's permission to market to them. And the way to do that is to provide something of value to them. Make it a downloadable report, a free video, the coupon book. It might be something else that they're interested in, but you get their permission to get their attention. You get their permission to give you their name and email address. People are getting more and more wary of giving you their information because too many times marketers abuse it. This also leads to a little side note. Make sure that you have a privacy policy in your website. That will help reassure your customers that you won't spam them, for one, or that you won't sell or share or give away or rent their names on a list. That's important to know. That's part of that trust factor. Remember, people do business with people that they like and trust. So make sure you have that privacy policy page. And you know what? Google likes it too. That's one of the many signals that Google is looking for in their trust factor, is they want to see that you have a privacy policy on your page. The ultimate sales letter is a key ingredient here. When it comes to providing content on your website or a sales letter that you send out in a marketing effort, here's what Dan has to say about that. Make it longer, because the people who genuinely are interested in what you have to say or sell want to know more, not less. And in fact, this also coincides with Google's expectations. Google in general wants to see 600 or more words on a page. Not 10, not 50 or 150. They want to see 600 words or more on a page to be able to index your page and see it of value to your clients. Now, what Dan said in this book, and I would highly recommend this book, I'd require it if I could, is that people want to know more if they are in your target audience. But what many marketers believe is that if you can appeal to the people's short attention spans, they think that everybody has a 2-second Facebook attention span. That is, you've got to grab their attention or they're out of here. Well, to some degree that's true, with that headline. It has to be compelling and intriguing. But after the headline, the rest of it doesn't have to be read in 2 seconds. Here's the deal. If you make your content, again, whether it's a website or brochure or a flyer or something else, if it has content of value, it appeals to their interest, it needs to answer their objections and their questions. And if you structure it appropriately, you don't just throw in a bunch of fluff and you don't just make it long to make it long, but you have subheads, you have bullet points, you have infographics, things that educate your clients. All of those things will make it readable, will make it of value to your customers. And the idea is, by making it a value, they will want to know more. So here's what Dan said that hit me like a brick between the eyes when I read this book 25 years ago. He said, if somebody's not interested in what you have to say or sell, you cannot make it short enough. And that's the key. Stop making things shorter, thinking that you're getting people interested by appealing to their short attention spans. If they legitimately are interested in what you have to say or sell, they usually want to know more, not less. So if they're raising their hand saying that they're in your target audience, make sure that you answer things thoroughly. So the E-Myth Revisited, I mentioned this earlier, the E-Myth or the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. And what he said about this is the E stands for entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurial myth is the fact that somebody's really good at doing something. They have a hobby. They're an artist, or they're interested in electrical work. Then that gets them in to start a business. Well, just because you're good at something, doing something, providing a service, doesn't mean that you're a great business owner. That's a different set of skills. And so what I would ask all of you listening to this, all of you watching, is get good at being a business person. And in my view, the most important part of that is get good at being a marketer. What Michael Gerber said in the book was a key ingredient. Make sure that you build your business so that you can sell your business. It doesn't mean that you have to sell your business. It doesn't mean that you even want to sell your business. Maybe someday as part of your exit strategy. But when you build the value in your business so that it takes care of you, and you don't have to be there all the time, you don't necessarily have to be a one-person army, then at that point you've achieved success in your business. And what he talks about in the E-Myth is the myth that somehow if you're just good enough, if you just provide a service or value that's just good enough, if you just work hard enough, if you just put in enough hours, that you'll be successful. Instead, you want to build systems into your business, systems to develop your new products or services, systems to hire people, systems to deliver your product or service, systems to be financially viable and profitable. Once you build these systems into your business, and those systems are fine-tuned, that's when you'll have a successful business. So I would highly recommend that you read the E-Myth. Everybody that I've ever recommended this book to that has actually read the book comes back and tells me what great value it was to them in your business. I also recommend reading anything by Jay Abraham or J. Conrad Levinson. These are two great marketing gurus. J. Conrad Levinson is one of my favorite books. He wrote one called Guerrilla Marketing. And he talked about getting in front of your clients and doing things that your competitors never want to do or are capable of doing. So this is the recommended reading list. But I'm going to make you some offers of my own that will help you out as well. So when it comes to marketing my products or services, here's what I'll be willing to do for you. If you go to my website, and it's listed in the BizFair event list, it's also something I'll give you right now. If you go to newtechweb.com/BizFair, you can't get there by going to the website and navigating around. The only way you'll find out about that page is through attending BizFair. So if you go to newtechweb.com/BizFair, there's a page there that has the slides for this presentation, the slides for my other presentation about building a great website, the slides for a third presentation that I've done in years past about driving traffic to your website. There's also another presentation in video form. It's kind of old, but it still applies, about making money with your website, different ways that you can add value and produce additional revenue. That's on there as well. Plus, there's a couple of articles. One of the articles is how to write better content. For instance, it mentions that I, our, us disease, or how to write better headlines, or phrasing things to the positive, and a bunch of other tips about how to write copy, content for your brochures, for your flyers, for your website that's going to be more compelling and more effective from a marketing sense. And I'm going to be giving away free consultations, a free 30-minute consultation to anybody who asks for it. I'm not selling you my services or products. I'm providing extra value. See what I did there? So by providing you that extra value, maybe I'll get a referral. Maybe I'll get business out of it. But I love teaching small business owners. I like providing this extra value. It's what I do well. So when you call me, when you set up an appointment to get a free 30-minute consultation, we'll talk about your service. We'll talk about your product. We'll talk about your marketing plans, your business plan. We'll talk about your website and your marketing materials. We'll talk about all of those things to help you become more successful, even if you never do business with me. My goal here is to produce small business owners who are successful. If I can do that, I've been successful. And I hope I've been successful here today in the seminar by giving you enough value to help you grow your business through more effective marketing by promoting your services. Thank you.